Oh my goodness. This is bringing back memories. So today we are making an Aussie favourite, the classic sausage roll. Now a sausage roll is enjoyed as a snack or as a lunchtime treat. Now I'm going to show you step by step how to make this pastry. I've already gone ahead and made my puff pastry, my rough puff pastry. Of course, you can make this using store-bought puff pastry, but the filling is where it's at, and we are going to be making a completely plant-based filling today, packed full of protein and lots of spices. I just know you're going to love it. So in social media recently, there has been a company by the name of Greggs, which has become quite iconic for their sausage roll, and they are located in the UK. So if you have been there and tried their sausage roll, I think they do have a plant-based version as well, but they are very known for their sausage roll. So I hope we can beat the Greggs sausage roll today, and I will also leave a bonus recipe in the recipe link that will be in your dashboard for a gourmet ketchup that is absolutely delicious with this savory pastry. So let's get started. I've gone ahead and mise en place all of our ingredients, so everything is ready to go. And the first thing that we're going to do is toast off our texturized soy. Now, what is texturized soy? If you haven't used this ingredient before, it is essentially the texturized soy, or TVP as it's known, texturized vegetable protein. So essentially it is the protein, usually from soy, sometimes you can also get it from other types of beans, that has been extruded, and it is very high in protein and comes in many different types of sizes. So this one is a very small granule, kind of what you would use for like a bolognese or so. And we use it in the plant-based world to make like a ground beef. So we're going to be using this today, but to really get the most out of it and get lots of flavor out, we're actually going to toast it first before we hydrate it. So in my saucepan here, I'm just going to bring it over a medium heat. And while that's heating up, we're going to prepare the broth, which is going to hydrate our TVP. And I've just heated up some water. You can do that in the microwave or your kettle. And I've got myself here a bouillon cube. So you can use a vegan beef bouillon cube or a mushroom bouillon cube. I'm actually just using the mushroom one today. And we want to start dissolving it in that hot water. So our pan is heating up. I'm just going to add a little bit of olive oil or your favorite oil and start toasting off our TVP, texturized soy. So toasting off the texturized soy is going to bring out a lot of those toasted brown notes, roasted notes that you would get in beef. So traditionally a sausage roll would be containing different types of meats such as beef and pork. So we're trying to recreate that same flavor. So TVP is used a lot in countries that have fasting periods. So here in Greece, it's quite easy to come by. We can just get it from the grocery store. You'll also find in lots of different delis, like Turkish delis or Greek delis and things like this. You often find it at Asian markets. That's the best way to find it. It's a lot cheaper. So while our TVP is toasting, we can start grinding out our smoked tofu. Now the smoked tofu is going to be replacing the pork component, and you can go ahead and smoke your own tofu if you would like, or a lot of the time you can just find this already prepared. I actually just bought this one prepared, even though I do have a smoker, but I just wanted to make it easier on myself. And I'm just going to put this through a food processor, and we want to grind it into like a ground meat or ground pork texture. And we have our smoked tofu, which is ground now into kind of like a ground meat texture. Okay, so now that our TVP is nice and toasted, we're going to add that broth that we made. And I've still got it on a medium heat, and we just want this to fully hydrate, but we want to make sure that that liquid goes all the way through and that it's not too wet. So, okay, that's looking good. Now instead of an egg for this recipe, we are using some ground flaxseed. And I just ground my flax seeds myself in a spice grinder, but you can buy it already prepared as well. I'm gonna add that to the water measurement. I'm gonna give that a bit of a mix. So it's gonna help bind everything together. In addition to the flaxseed, we're also using some lentil flour. Now you can buy lentil flour, but I just buy lentils because it's really cheap, and I grind them myself in my spice grinder. So I'm just gonna grind a little bit at a time. Probably just half of it at a time, and we're going to also add it to that water as well and get it starting to hydrate. Perfect, so we've got a nice fine flour. I'm just going to add that to the water. All right, so we've got that lentil flour and the flax seeds all combined into our water. So we're going to add that to a nice big bowl. And to that we have all of our spices. So of course we need some salt and pepper. So we also have some spices that are typically paired with beef or pork. So perfect for this recipe. So we have some paprika, sweet paprika. We also have some sage, which is very common in sausage. So we wanted to add that as well. We have some oregano. So I have some fennel seeds here, or you can use anise. And again, that's very popular or very common in sausage meat. We have some garlic and onion powder, some celery seed, and some ketchup, or as we call it in Australia, tomato sauce, but it's ketchup. So give that a good mix. We have our texturized soy, which we prepared earlier, and our smoked tofu. And we also have some breadcrumbs as well. So we just want to mix everything up really well. Already looks very meaty. And essentially you get left with this sausage meat, and as you can see, the consistency or the texture of it. Now, I really like to prepare this a day ahead of time and allow all of those flavors to really infuse. So I'm gonna transfer my sausage meat for our sausage rolls into a container, and we're gonna put this into the refrigerator overnight. And I like to make my sausage meat the day ahead of time, the same day that I'm making my puff pastry, just so it has plenty of time to rest and all of those flavors to infuse. So it's gonna taste absolutely delicious tomorrow. And into the fridge. So now it's time to do our final shaping on our sausage rolls. So we prepared our rough puff pastry yesterday, so a day ahead of time. It is important that we give it lots of time to rest, so less likely it's going to shrink when we bake. So now we're going to start rolling it out. Now I did pull it out of the fridge and I've had it sitting on my bench for about 10 minutes, just so it's not super cold and that butter will crack when we start rolling it. So let's just take our cling wrap off here, and we are going to put down some flour. Now, as always, we want to make sure that we have our open seam to the right and our closed seam to the left. So what we want to do now is extend the width of our dough to about 30 centimeters, maybe just like a little bit wider. So like so. So we want this to extend out. And here I have some rolling guides as well, which is going to be for the thickness, okay? So I'm just going to turn it for now because we want to open it up. And I just want to kind of get it started with our rolling pin. I'm going to flip it over on the other side, do the same thing. Okay, so we've already got it just a little bit bigger than 30 centimeters. So we want to bring it back to our original position where we have our closed seam on the left, open seam on the right. Now we want to roll this into a 3mm thickness, and I'm using some rolling guides just to give me a hand with that as well. And at any stage, if your pastry starts getting too warm or you're working on a really warm day, just pop it onto a tray, cover it up, and pop it back into the fridge to chill. Now at any stage, if your table is too short for this, you can cut the pastry or just work with half of the dough at a time. So I've just put a light dusting of flour on top. And we're going to roll up our dough now that it's rolled out to the 3 millimeters. You just want to make sure that it's not going to stick on our rolling pin. I'm going to put a little bit of flour on my rolling pin too. And we're going to carefully roll it up. So now I'm just going to wrap this up with our cling wrap and pop this into the refrigerator for about 20 to 30 minutes just to chill up, and it'll give it some time to rest so it's not going to retract as much when we start cutting it. So I've just taken my dough out of the fridge. It's been chilling and resting in there for about 20 minutes. I'm going to put a little bit of flour down onto our bench and roll it out. Now I'm going to work with a little bit of it at a time just so that dough is going to keep cold, okay? And I'm just going to trim this edge here. So as you see, we've got our sausage meat here, and I'm going to take like about a quarter of it. Easier to tip it out. Now I'm essentially going to form it into a sausage shape. So as you see, I've just kind of made it the same length. And it's about, I would say about an inch thick. Just gonna wipe my hands. And we're going to take a little bit of vegan egg wash, and I'm going to put a little bit on each side of our pastry. Okay, so we've got our seal on the bottom, and I'm just going to pop that onto a tray lined with some baking paper. And I'm just going to transfer this into the freezer, and then we're going to continue on making the rest. So now that our sausage rolls have been shaped, I'm going to put them in the freezer for about 15 minutes, just for that pastry to firm up so we can cut it into our portions. Now that our sausage rolls have been chilling in the freezer for 15 minutes, we're going to trim them into the sizes that we are looking for to bake. So for the standard or the single serve sausage roll, you're looking at 15 centimeters, and for the cocktail size is 5 centimeters. So I am just going to just trim that edge bit off, so we've just got a cleaner edge. So I have my tray here. We've got the baking paper on the bottom, and I like to use these air mats. It is optional, but it helps to give nice, even baking all throughout. Now, I do like to spray just very lightly with a little bit of oil just to make sure that nothing is going to stick. And it is a good idea to bake the same size together. So I'm just going to do some of the larger sizes today. And then for these ones, I'm going to freeze them, and you can actually bake them straight from frozen. So we're going to go in with our vegan egg wash all the way around. Okay, so I'm going to pop these in our oven. I have it preheated at 180 degrees Celsius. I'm going to bake these for about 20 to 25 minutes. just taken our sausage rolls fresh out of the oven. They are lovely and crispy and hot. You can hear that crispness of the pastry. Wow, there's a few things that I do miss from my home country, from Australia, and sausage rolls has definitely got to be one of them. It smells incredible. You can smell that smokiness from the tofu and that meatiness from the fennel seed as well. It really gives that kind of sausage smell to it. And it just goes so perfectly with our gourmet ketchup. Whenever you go to a bakery in Australia, they will always ask you if you want ketchup, but we call it tomato sauce. But yeah, this gourmet ketchup is just perfect. It's got that lovely balance of the acid and the sweet that cuts through the richness of our flaky pastry. And this is how we do it at home. Just dip it in our sauce and dig in. This is bringing back memories. I honestly, truly believe that you can't tell the difference between traditional sausage roll and this vegan one. But don't believe me, give this recipe a try and let me know what you think. This is so comforting and I just can't wait to share this recipe with all my friends and family back home, because I think that they're gonna believe it's truly sausage inside. And that pastry is so light and flaky. Well, this is certainly very nostalgic for me. I hope you too enjoy this vegan sausage roll recipe, and I'll see you in the next video. Catch you later.